our whole team. And we have a small but mighty team. And what we're going to talk to you about today is how COVID happened, but we did not let it keep us down, and we persevered through the pandemic, which seems to still be continuing. But anyway, so we're presenting on behalf of our colleagues who, not everybody could be here today, but we all have a really major role that we play in AEPR. It is something that we are all very passionate about, and we make a great team, and we meet every week, and we love to meet with each other. So Cindy and Candace, did you guys want to add anything?
Well, I'll just introduce myself. I think everybody in here knows me, but obviously I'm from Wentworth Institute of Technology in Boston. I'm a management professor, and I've been teaching there for 22 years. And I am an executive co-editor of AEPR. And what Samantha didn't mention is that we have actually promoted her into the role of editor-in-chief within the last 2 weeks. So that's why she's sort of taken over getting us started. So we're very excited about that. It's one of the things we'll talk about later on, infusing some new energy and just making a few changes. So now, Candace, if you want to introduce yourself.
Sure. I'm Candace Reynolds, and as the slide says, I'm from Portland State University. I'm the chair of the Educational Leadership and Policy Department there, and have been working with ePortfolios for a long, long time. And I really enjoy working with this team.
All right. And Candace does all our social media. And so anytime there's a post on Facebook, or I think Twitter, Candace is behind for us.
And LinkedIn.
And LinkedIn, that's right. That's right. So our vision really has not changed. We really are, we kind of serve a different role than other journals. We really take a closer partnership with our authors, which we'll talk about later. And we're down to, we had started with, I think, like 4 issues a year. And so we've scaled that back a bit just to make it more manageable. But we still publish twice a year. So it is peer reviewed, and our audience is ePortfolio practitioners, administrators, and of course students. Cindy, did you want to add anything else about vision?
No, it's been an interesting journey. I mean, I can't believe how long we've been doing this. I can't believe we have an all volunteer team that is passionate about this, and we show up every single week. And we've had to learn so much along the way about, publishing a journal and all the technology that goes along with it, and team roles and everything like that. So it's just been a really great experience.
So Cindy, do you want to talk about this? Because you have been doing AEPR a lot longer than I have.
Yes, we have a very unique approach. So we do call ourselves a peer-reviewed journal, because I think we peer review more than probably any other journal out there, to be honest with you, in my opinion. And we start with a proposal and proposal acceptance, and we have turned down several proposals that just weren't up to par. But the good news is, and we'll talk about that more later, the good news is we usually accept them for a later edition if they've spruced up their proposal, or if it fits the theme a little bit better. We do pair the author with a review editor, and that review editor works with the author the entire time we're going through the publishing process. And we also have a styles editor to work with various things like tables and how you should set up figure labels, table labels, what the graphics should look like. And we also have an APA editor that works with the author on making sure that the citations are correct for in-text and also for the end of article references. Then we have a full team review. Generally, sometimes it's a couple of reviews. It's not just one. We also have a board review, and then we have another second team review to try to get the articles and the entire journal, as publish worthy as possible. And they, as you know, they're absolutely stunning and beautiful because we have an incredible layout artist is what I want to call her, layout and design artist. So we're very fortunate there. Thank you, Samantha.
And the board review, I think we probably should have added that's an ABLE board review. There's not like a board of us. So, but we do send it to ABLE and to the board to get their input on each issue. So our tools of the trade are, so we've got several listed here. We use, of course, Slack to communicate with each other all of the time, every single day. No, I'm kidding. It's not that overwhelming, but we use Slack to communicate so that our emails don't get junked up and we don't get overwhelmed in that way. We use Airtable for voting on proposals. So we each get a say in what we think about each proposal. We also use that to kind of monitor our progress along with each issue. We use that to contact review editors and also copy editors. So we keep all that information in there. It kind of keeps us on track. Google Drive is something we're going to be moving to. We have been using Dropbox to drop issues back, or not issues, versions back and forth to each other as our authors and our editors kind of negotiate that feedback process until we get to the final version. We use Zoom all of the time. We were Zooming before Zoom was cool. And we also use Notion, which is a way, Notion is how we get those author guidelines out to folks. And does NAMI also use Notion for making the issue? Is that right?
Yeah, she uses a couple of different layout and design tools, not just Notion, but also Adobe products.
That's great.
I think she uses several.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So, Candace, do you want to talk about the website?
Sure. As part of the regular ABLE website, there is a link to our APR, and our issues are, all of our issues are posted on the ABLE website. You'll also find the call for papers on the ABLE website.
And our latest edition is posted, so that we actually, we'll talk about this a little bit later. We were a little late on publishing this edition because of COVID brain and everything going on, but it's published now. We just got it out like two days ago because we had to get it out before this conference started. We were like on a mission. So that is now published.
I think it's worth mentioning that APR is free. Anybody can access it. It's not behind any type of a sign-in or a paywall, which is, it's really nice for those of us who, I think library budgets are being cut more and more these days. And so it's a way for us to get information out without it being so closed off. And I do hope that continues. But one never knows. Candace.
Yes. And so we try to have a social media presence, and this is also a way to stay informed about AAPR, what we're doing, and also ePortfolios in general. We'll post some things in general sometimes too. We have accounts on Facebook and on Twitter and on LinkedIn. So I encourage you to go ahead, Debbie, and subscribe to those if you'd like to. Generally, we post our call for papers as well as give an alert for publication. So you'll know when the edition comes out and you won't have to look for it.
So in terms of submissions to AAPR, we are in our 10th edition since 2016. Yay, us. We actually had no idea that this was our 10th issue until we were prepping for this presentation. On average, we have about 7 to 9 submissions in each issue. Overall, since 2016, we've had 6 rejections. And Cindy, do you want to talk about our process for not issuing rejections?
Well, when we do issue a rejection, it's generally, there's been a couple of times when the proposal was just very confusing and really didn't lend itself to the theme we were looking at. Now, generally the themes that we, post for AEPR is along the lines of what ABLE does for the conferences. Most of the time, a proposal is going to match, our theme. There's no way you can't make a connection, but sometimes they're just, like maybe we had already gone through ePortfolio platforms with the last edition, and now we all of a sudden we see a proposal related to that. But sometimes we'll encourage the author to try to change it. We'll encourage the author to try to come up with a new topic that more matches the theme. And sometimes we've had a couple of authors that are proposing a theme that we haven't gotten to yet, that maybe it'll be the next edition or the edition after that.
We do have like some competing journals out there. Of course, we all know about IJEP and the International Journal of Teaching and Learning in Higher Ed. There's also the British Journal of Educational Technology. Some ePortfolio articles get published there. And ETR&D, which is, it's really instructional design focused, but there's some overlap there between ePortfolio and instructional design. But we feel like instead of competing, we really complement. And as I mentioned before, we are free and open. If you've never published before, especially like if you're a student, it's a really great way to get acquainted with the publishing process. You don't write a full thing and then get a 100% rejection right away. We really do walk our authors through the process. Some, it takes a lot more effort than others, but we are determined to help everybody cross the finish line into whatever issue they've submitted to.
Well, and I would like to add to that we have had a couple of authors that were accepted and they're going through the process. And we've actually had to walk them back and say that you're not ready to publish this edition, that your article does relate to the next theme that we're coming out with. So we'd like to hold you off and have you work on this some more, work with the review editor, because we really are trying to make sure we're publishing quality articles. We don't want to just publish just to publish. I mean, if we ended up with 3 articles that are quality, I would rather do that than have a 4th or a 5th or a 6th that are not quality. So we've had to do that a couple of times as well.
Does anybody want to talk about the publication cycle workflow?
Well, we have, a pretty detailed publication cycle workflow. I mean, obviously we're going through the proposal phase. We have detailed schedule that's set up. Once you're accepted, Samantha will send out an acceptance and match you with the review editor. And then within a week or 2, she'll then send out the calendar schedule of items that are due. So generally within acceptance, the first draft is due usually within 3 to 4 weeks. But the schedule is very clear. It shows you when the next draft is due. It shows you when no other drafts are due, no other comments can be made. We have the copy editing date in there, the APA review date in there. All the dates are in there going through the whole cycle. We also have some good guidelines up, some good booklets up that will help with the authoring, also help the review editors, all the way to production. And production actually takes a little longer than I thought it would take. I didn't realize how much was involved with that. I mean, NAMI is just incredible that she does this on a volunteer basis, basically. And it does take a little longer than I like sometimes. I used to crack the whip. Now Samantha will be cracking the whip as editor-in-chief, but it's a detailed workflow process. Thank you, Samantha.
Yeah. So, and this is kind of what our presence online looks like. Candace, do you want, or Cindy, do either of you want to talk about this one?
Candace, if you want to do it, that'll be fine.
Sure. This actually just sort of shows kind of the workflow where we try to publish and have our online presence. So, as we were saying earlier, we have social media presence. We also have the website, and our AEPR website as well as the ABLE website. and then the journal itself. So we've got quite a bit of online presence.
And then we are all always so excited when it comes out. So we try to share the good news ourselves as well. So lots of social presence. So COVID-19 happened. Does everybody remember that? 2020, I think for all of us was very stressful. There's a lot of brain fog. We're all still kind of feeling that, still kind of coming out of it. There was a lot of strain on our team members. We are all full-time employed. We are all either administrators or teaching faculty or supporting roles. Like I'm an instructional designer. So when COVID happened, the world stopped and I worked for like a month without sleep, I think, or a day off, right? So to support our faculty. So we did have to kind of pause where we were in our process and let all of our team members catch up. And our faculty, I know Candace and Cindy, you guys had to transition really quickly to teaching online. We always were concerned about each other to make sure everybody was safe. We didn't want anyone to get sick. So it was also a strain on our authors because our authors are students, they are faculty, they are administrators, and they are not only here in the US, but they are actually located all over the globe. So it really was a very stressful time. So we made sure we put a lot of flexibility into our process. Some of our authors were completely overwhelmed, not just by COVID, but things happening in their personal lives. So we gave them options like, do you want to hold off? Do you want to publish in the next issue? We tried to be really flexible in terms of everybody's just, everybody's very distracted. And we tried to move those deadlines around as best we could. It just was, everybody's tired. Cindy and Candace, did you want to talk about?
I would like to add to that. It's true what Samantha said. It wasn't just, just the whole COVID thing. And, of course, I've been teaching online for 25 years. So jumping over to online teaching was very easy for me. But it's just the whole stress of the whole thing. Well, Debbie, you went through it as well, so we know. And, it's just other things going on. I mean, people were going crazy. Divorces started happening with our authors. All kind of stuff was happening. And then one day I showed up on the screen and said, sorry, everyone, I can't be at the meeting. I have COVID. So I'm looking like pale and not very well. And I scared everybody. So, but obviously I made it through. And we got through it, and it really became, even though it was a strain on us, a strain on the authors, and I think I could speak for everybody, it did become a lifeline once a week for us to meet and see each other and know that we were all still okay, and that that we were going to be okay, and that we're there for each other. And a lot of our conversations started, one of the reasons why we were struggling a little bit is because we kept, like everybody else, we're talking about COVID and what's going to happen. And can you believe this happened and this restriction and that, just like everybody else. And we would lose focus on what we're supposed to be doing. And then we would corral back together. But Candace, would you like to add anything?
Sure. Actually, it was great to hear to be on the team and hear how other institutions were dealing with COVID. That was really helpful to me. I want to thank all the people on the team too. They had a lot of grace for me because I did have COVID brain, and my institution, things were quite stressful as we're dealing with a lot of budget cuts that have come because of COVID. So lots of meetings that I had to go to and lots of stress going on. So I appreciate the grace that people gave to me.
Well, and I'd also like to add that I became a temporary dean for 8 months during the pandemic. And that was very distracting and stressful, and I'll never do that again. COVID or no COVID, I'll never become a dean again. So we lost a little bit of track. There's just lots going on, just like Candace's school. We're cutting budgets. Positions were being cut left and right. We did a total restructuring at my school during the pandemic. From 22 divisions to down to 5 schools with multiple majors. And then at the same time, we decided to move from Blackboard to Brightspace during a pandemic. So we have a lot going on, during COVID for some reason. But moving on, hopefully we're going to be out of it totally.
Yeah, hopefully.
I know.
So these are our beautiful covers that Nami creates these. And I will add, she creates several and lets us vote. Right. Yeah. And so as we were going through the pandemic, Nami was like, oh, I got to create some cover options. And I can't remember if it was me or Cindy, we both piped in and we were like, but we have all these other ones. Let's use what you've created. Let's take some stress off. And so these were the two latest our two summer issues. And they're beautiful. She does such a great job. It really should be the Nami journal.
Yeah, she's awesome.
Yeah.
We need to get her an apprentice, an intern to learn.
Yeah. So we are looking for team members. That's a great great lead in, Cindy. We are looking for some team members. We would love to have anyone who wants to volunteer to be part of our team to do that. We're hoping to find 2 people to join our weekly meeting. We're also looking for if anybody wants to intern with Nami to kind of learn that layout process and the design process, because she could use some help. She's tired. We're all tired.
Well, and just to add to that too, Samantha, I would like to note if anybody has interns or co-op students that would like to work with us or NAMI and need some credentials on their resume, we are open to that as well. So that would be a phenomenal opportunity for an intern or a co-op student as well.
Yeah. We are also always looking for editors, for either copy editors or editors in terms of article editors. I've lost my brain. So so if you would like to volunteer in that capacity, that's a small window of time when you would work with an author. And copy editing is even shorter of a window. So whatever you feel like you can give, if you're interested in doing that, you can just send me an email and I'll put you on the mailing list. And then anytime there's an issue, I send an email out that says we're looking for this many copy editors, this many review editors, and you can let us know if you're available or not. So, and also if you have questions about publishing with us and you'd like to talk about that, you can email me, but or you could just ask me if you're here on the call and you have questions. So so we had some feedback question discussion time built in, but we've only got one person.
So we can just have a talk.
Yeah, so we can just dive in and chat about things. Debbie, do you have any questions for us?
Well, I think I've had a few, but they keep going away because you address them and the conversation's pretty engaging. I definitely will contact our faculty member who oversees interns in the Department of English. They're always looking for placements. I think that might be a little short term. It's a semester at a time. And there may be others. We have our own in-house student directed academic journal that the students do. And it's usually award winning, at least statewide, if not nationally. I could imagine some of those students would be interested in working at a different academic journal to get experience. So I'll send this information out to some of the faculty that oversee Genesis as our publication, as well as our interns.
That would be awesome. I mean, we in the beginning of this whole thing, back when we were called The Learner, I don't know how long you've been involved with ABLE, but
not that long.
Okay, before we had the journal, it was like a newsletter style publication called The Learner, and we had a co-op student working semester by semester, and it'd be a different co-op student. And at the beginning of this journal, we considered that as well. And I think it would be great to, even if they're switching up every semester, that's fine. I mean, having someone come in, another set of eyes, another one, looking at copy editing, another person looking at APA. And we certainly would love to be able to have a co-op or an intern every semester working on layout and design. I think it would really help as well. Or a more permanent person would be great if someone's looking for some professional development or service work to get promoted as an instructor or something like that. I mean, to me, that's ABLE is one of the reasons why I was promoted to full professor years and years and years ago, because it let me the opportunity to not only publish, but also to present at conferences, but also for service work. I mean, it hit the trio and professional development. So I think it's a really great opportunity for someone to come in here and be able to get involved, and if they're needing something for promotion or annual assessment. So.
Mhm. And I'm working with a faculty fellow who's in IT, and I think they basically do design work, like for people who aspire to do video games or whatever. But there may be some overlap there with design, so I can float this his way. I know his people are always looking for opportunities, so there may be a way just to partner with several universities and get some penetration across campus, and then you're not necessarily fishing as much. You've got kind of your go-to people. So I definitely will do what I can to help you connect at IUPUI. I know, and then Amy Powell, of course, is our ePortfolio director, and she's very passionate about ePortfolio and supporting ABLE. And Susan Kahn just retired, so that's a real loss for us.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. That would be lovely if we could get, we have our great core team, and everybody here with us has been with us pretty much since the beginning. And we did lose a couple of core, members because of moving, and, one core member moved all the way to Australia. So it was just Australia, right? That's where he moved
No,
to.
he's in New Zealand.
New Zealand. I'm sorry. New
Oh,
Zealand.
even better.
Yeah. So, I mean, we would love to get a core member or two because like all of us, we are just, everybody you saw in that first slide. I mean, we're dedicated. We show up every single week unless we have something going on, like a vacation or a wedding or something like that. Or we have COVID, but we still log in to let everybody know. But we would love to have another member or core member or two that is very dedicated to help us. And we're one of our missions, and Samantha and I talked about this, is to really build up our review editors and our copy editors a little bit more. Am I saying that right, Samantha? Copy editors?
Yeah.
And I like the idea that both Jordy and Debbie were talking about in terms of engaging students. And if we can figure out a way to kind of make that happen, I think that'd be really wonderful.
It would be wonderful. Yes.
So go ahead, Jordy.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. I don't know how stable my internet is right now, but I just wanted to say, if you don't hear me, please tell me. But I just wanted to say that the digital arts students are amazing at BCC, and these are young kids from the Bronx who are discovering a new way of seeing the world through digital arts, and they're becoming empowered by the program that they're in, which is a very progressive and aggressive program that gets them out into the professional world. Some of the stuff I've seen them do is incredible, and they're always ready to go. So I'm going to reach out to them for sure. And just like Debbie mentioned, I'll also talk with the English department, because they have both a student-led publication, and then also there are always a lot of English professors in an English department, and some of them have done some really great work with ePortfolio. So I'll go to them directly.
That'd be
So,
awesome.
and I know that we're recording this, so this makes me less inclined to float names your way, but there's some newbies at the conference this time around who would just be excellent to work with things. So I'll email you a name or two that you might invite, to say like, hey, we saw you here. We hear about the good work you're doing. Would you like to be part of this? And I think that kind of formal invitation could be very appealing. I don't know if you do that kind of thing or not, but
We used to do it when we were in person, especially, and then we would also have flyers to remind people about publishing in AEPR. And I think that I feel like things are starting to regroup a lot with ABLE, and I think emails are starting to come out a lot more, and the flow of communication is getting better. So I think thankfully we've had enough of team members to be okay. And I think that we'll continue to be okay. We'll find some new ways to integrate across other campuses. Which
I
will be
did just
great.
pop the, oh, I'm sorry, Cindy.
Go ahead. No, I'm sorry.
I did just pop the link to our latest issue in the chat so that you can get to it through the ABLE website, but that's just a quick link to it. And I can post it in the ABLE conference, the Slack. I'll
Okay,
post it.
that's a good idea.
Yeah. So I didn't want to steal any thunder from Candace since she's our social media person. So I was kind of waiting for that to go out on those channels first before I posted it to Slack.
Right.
I think we should do a
They're
call.
out. It's out.
Okay.
I think we should do a call for volunteers on the conference postings as well, if we
We can do
can.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that would be a good idea. Definitely.
And I just want to say that I've published with you and it was such a great, amazing experience. It was one of the shorter pieces that I did with Kate Culkin, one of my colleagues back at BCC, and just being able to see the innovative presentation that you've worked so hard to put together. It makes you feel, to me, academic publications can be so, I don't know, traditional, I guess I would say, if I'm going to be positive. You guys are so innovative in the way that you put it together, conceptually, aesthetically. It really is impressive.
Well, and we have to give credit to Russell, who is one of our team members, and Russell Stallings, and he is like, even though it's not his specific position, he's like a human person that that works with technology, uses technology as tools. He is like the technology guru. I mean, he's a technology expert, and he became sort of like our tutor for a lot of tools that we're using. When I first started this, I was very resistant to Slack, believe it or not. Like I would refuse to even go in and use Slack. Now I can't do without it, and I have all my students using it. But also, he knows a lot about graphics, and Nami and her team. Nami is just like a graphical genius, and a lot of times she has to redo figures and things like that. So because just where Samantha or Candace or myself might just accept it because we're like, oh, that looks okay. But Nami has an eye and says, oh no, that's not gonna cut it. So she has to redo a lot of figures and things like that. So one of the things we'd love to have is someone helping her so that they could help take care of recreating figures or graphical elements like that. So she's concentrating solely on layout. That would be really good. And I'm glad, Jordy, to hear that your process went very well. That makes us happy. We are, if we polled the authors of this current edition that came out, they may say, well, it was a little slow. I don't know, but I'm sure they're very understanding that we're just coming out of a pandemic, and they're doing some work outside of my house, so I apologize for this loud noise now. So I may have to mute myself.
So what's the theme of the next issue?
Oh, I think Candace knows that. Maybe.
No, I don't.
Samantha, why don't you bring it up on the ABLE website? Let's share the ABLE website and bring it up.
I can't remember.
Yeah, do that.
COVID brain.
Yesterday I was in a couple of sessions and Helen Chen was talking about the Shark Tank. And after 2 or 3 times, I was like, oh, we just published an article about last year's Shark Tank. She should totally know that. And I think she said she was, so I pushed it to the chat and, or I chatted her and told her, and she was like, I'm totally going to use this to get people excited about this year's Shark Tank.
No, that's cool.
Yeah,
So who wrote about it? One of the members or somebody who attended, or one of you all?
I actually
Yes.
coordinated it, but I had basically everybody wrote their own piece. So it's a piece with lots of authors on it. But it was, I think, it's a really good article, and it gives all the ideas that were in the Shark Tank and connections to their pitches, which was really cool.
And I'm pitching at the Shark Tank, and
Yay!
I did not look at all pitches, so I have no idea if I'm even in the like ballpark. So
Oh, yeah. So look at the article.
Yeah.
no.
It'll be okay. And I'm publishing in this next edition. Thankfully, my article's already written, but the review editor hasn't sent me comments yet, so I don't know how much work I have to do. But I'll be presenting on Thursday part of what I'm publishing in the article. So I'm very excited about
That's
that.
cool. Congratulations.
Thank you.
You
This is the second
guys, this is
time
great.
second time I think I'm publishing and out of the 10. And we have a process where if one of us submits a proposal, then we're not allowed to vote on it. We want to keep it all up and up. you
Oh,
know.
sure. Yeah.
But
So
it's
the-
up there at the top. I think, or you have to click on that. I forget.
Yeah.
The theme is adapting to a digital world. The next one is going to be on that.
Yeah, I think it
Oh,
was back.
okay.
I think it was back on the other link. Oh,
Here
there
it
we
is.
go. Yeah.
Took me a couple clicks, sorry.
Okay.
Adapting to a digital world, which is very appropriate.